Hi again. John Wesley Bready in This Freedom Whence, in his chapter Blind Guides, page 28. Hierarchical degradation manifested itself mainly in patronage, sinecures, and pluralities. What rotten and pocket boroughs were to the parliamentary government of the time, that and more were patronage, sinecures, and pluralities, with their accompanying non-residence to the ecclesiastical government. But with this difference, whereas parliamentary corruption could at least be debated in the House of Commons and exposed by the opposition, ecclesiastical corruption battened under cover. For convocation, where those evils should have been debated and exposed, being suppressed, the coterie of prelates who ruled the national church became themselves the worst culprits. Many parishes, accordingly, had no shepherd of souls, and whereas primates and prelates lived like princes, and many a hard-drinking, fox-hunting parson with family and political influence swallowed more livings than he could chew, the majority of the humbler clergy were half starving on from £20 to £60 a year. Fielding depicts a pious, capable clergyman in Parson Adams, this is in Tom Jones in 1742, I think, who at the age of 50, with a wife and 6 children, was provided with the handsome income of £23 a year. Goldsmith's father was one of many 18th century parsons passing rich on £40 a year. And Samuel Wesley, the father of John and Charles, a capable, thrifty, hard-working priest, was for months detained in jail for debts contracted in purchasing the barest necessities of life. Richard Bentley, answering Collins' complaint as to the national expense of the clergy, pointed out that parliamentary accounts prove that 6,000 clergymen had an average annual income of less than £50 a year. And later Sidney Smith says 6,000 of your clergy, the greater part of your whole number, had at middle rate, one with another, not £50 a year. The average income, therefore, of the century's primates, to say nothing of certain arch-pluralists, was more than 200 times that of the average income of the humbler half of all the national clergy. Little wonder that Jeremy Bentham, in his Church of Englandism, has a chapter on how to organize a chaos. Neither in the light of stubborn facts can one doubt the accuracy of Dean Swift's satire. That's Jonathan Swift, the author of Gulliver's Travels. Dean Swift's satire on those scaling the dizzy heights of ecclesiastical preferment. Portraying one prelate mounting fast toward the top of the ecclesiastical ladder without the merit of a single virtue, Swift says, quote, "He treated all his inferiors in the clergy with a sanctified pride. He had neither eyes nor ears for the faults of the rich. He was never sensible of the least corruption in courts, parliaments, or ministers, but made the most favorable construction of all possible proceedings. And power in whatever hands or whatever party was always sure of his most charitable opinion." End of quote. This good cleric, too, could be soberly drunk at the expense of others, with college ale, and at such times he was always most devout. He was in the habit of dropping in his own half-crown among the collection and taking it out when he disposed of the money. He paid his curates punctually at the lowest salary and partly out of the communion money, but he gave them good advice in abundance. That's the end of Swift. Archdeacon Blackburn in 1754 describes the English clergy as, quote, "with few exceptions, men whose lives and ordinary occupations are most foreign to their profession." He also speaks of his countrymen as the most ignorant common people that are to be found in any Protestant, if not in any Christian country. And Thackeray, portraying the court life of George II, says the following, quote, "No wonder the clergy were corrupt and indifferent amidst this indifference and corruption. No wonder that the skeptics multiplied and morals degenerated so far as they depended on the influence of such a king. No wonder that Whitefield cried out in the wilderness, that Wesley quitted the insulted temple to pray on the hillside. I look with reverence on those men at that time, which in the sublimer spectacle, the good John Wesley, surrounded by his congregation of miners at the pit's mouth, or the Queen's chaplains mumbling through their morning office in the anteroom under the picture of the great Venus, with the door opened into the adjoining chamber where the Queen is dressing, talking scandal, or uttering sneers. I say I am scared as I look around at this society, at this king, at these courtiers, at these politicians, at these bishops, at this flaunting vice and levity. Whereabouts in this court is the honest man? Where is the pure person one may like? The air stifles one with its sickly perfumes. And that's the end of the description of Thackeray, who some of us will remember as the author of Vanity Fair. Next time, pride precludes fellowship. I'll put a link into what was going on at this very same time, as yes, Wesley and his brother Charles were rising on the horizon at this very time, and yes, George Whitefield was at work in America, and also was Jonathan Edwards. I'll put a link into a video we did on Edwards talking about the gospel. The gospel is not about us.